from my standpoint, from my work as a graphic facilitator and in working with groups and teaching them this, I find that there are 3 key elements, and I'm going to explain them now. So represent is the first piece of the puzzle, and selling. Represent. And so the question to ask about any idea or situation or problem or concept, excuse me, is who and what are part of this. So, you know, it might look like a location, it might look like a person, there might be abstract concepts involved, but basically coming up with a simple depiction of all the pieces that are involved. That's represent. The next step is to relate them. And the question you ask here is, how do these things interact? How, yeah. Or not. So what's interesting is when you are, so if you're presenting, okay, sorry, let me back up. This is a process that I'm walking through. You can do yourself or you can do in the group. So if you have all the answers and you're going to present the final solution to someone, then this is a process you would do on your own. If you are in a group and you're like, well, here's a new concept, this is really complex. Okay, what are all the pieces? Who's involved? What's involved? You know, what's included in what we're talking about? And then how do they interact? So whiteboarding, unfortunately, the great thing about whiteboarding is you can erase. The unfortunate thing is it's hard to move pieces around. So this is where sticky notes and other kinds of, well, mostly sticky notes, get involved. But having a picture on a sticky note reads a lot quicker to our brain. So you can actually start to cluster and map and find the relationships. You can draw lines between them, arrows. There's all sorts of ways to describe those relationships, create a border around them, but you're basically creating a system map. How does this system work? What comes in, what goes out, who's involved? And then the last part is reveal. And reveal is about making meaning of this. So like what does it mean? How will it change? So this is about revealing new and also the story of transformation. So it's a combination of like, what do we pay attention to? What's significant about this? We're going to reveal that. So once you've processed, once you've represented all the pieces and related them to each other, and then you can start to see, oh, these two things, this is where the energy is, this is what we need to focus our time on, and then you can tell the story of how things are going to go from point A to point B. Obviously, there's nuance depending on everyone's situation and the context, but to my mind, it always follows you might start with reveal and work backwards. You can come from any part of it, talking about the relationships to the depiction, but eventually you're going to end up with a map and you're going to want to know what to pay attention to. So when you combine just representation and relationships, you find, where's my map? Sorry. Representation and relationship is insight, because then you start to know, you have a clear picture of the situation. Reveal and relate is influence, because you are going to be able to explain those relationships in a way that makes sense to people. And represent and reveal you're showing how something can change or be new, and that's innovation. And all of this is what I call the realm of the Whiteboard Black Belt. Cool. And so, of course, I need to practice what I preach and draw the relationships. And then you draw the experience, the journey, something like that. Oops. All right, so moving on here. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot a very essential piece of this, which is the steps of represent are first to step up and take the marker and confront the white space. And you need to boil down. So that's simplifying something into really, really basic visual language. And then something I call sketch foo, which is basically, like I talked about, you've had a lot of practice with writing your letters. It's simple drills. It's drilling and practicing, so this becomes second nature, it becomes muscle memory. And then under relate, we have 3 steps, which are investigate links, see structures, and find the profound pattern. And essentially, links are what we talked about, like how these things interact. The structures are about, seeing structures is about taking multiple views of information. So to use a concrete example, there is of a building. You can have a floor plan, you can have an elevation view, you can have a street view. There's lots of ways to structure information to make sense of it. And there's ways to do that with conceptual information as well. And then to spot the profound pattern, this is about finding what repeats and what is relevant. And that feeds right into reveal. And so reveal is leading the leap, which is what's next. And we have unfold the story. So that's kind of to my point, you know, we learn through narrative. So people need to understand how you came to the conclusion or what the resolution is. And then finally is champion the change, because by being someone for whom sketch is the second language, you'll be able to see that practice throughout your work community. So that's my framework for a whiteboard, becoming a whiteboard black belt. And